Sacred travel. What is sacred travel? Sacred travel is going to these power places on the planet, these places of massive energy where various ley lines or energy lines converge, but moving in a way that is deliberate, that is loving, it is not just checking things off a list. It's being fully present with your highest self and the energy of oneness and being open and so much more. I sat down with fellow sacred traveler Julianne Santini while on a magical trip to Egypt. So I'm talking to Julianne Santini, who is an energy practitioner, sacred traveler, host of our sacred tour through Egypt. Thank you so much for taking a couple minutes. I know you guys are so busy.
Of course. Our pleasure, really our pleasure.
I can't say, first of all, enough about the coordination and communication between you and John and this group. It's a big group, and there's a lot of energy, not just the group, but all of the experiences and everything.
Let alone that Tracey is bringing, so.
I mean, it's just a lot, and you guys are just, we're talking about the fifth chakra, and we're talking about one of the properties being communication, and it just, I don't know what it's like in the behind the scenes stuff for you guys, but it seems very seamless the way that we're flowing through, and the communication between you and John, where one of you needs to fall back, one of you comes forward, and it's just a really great energy.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I would feel like both John and I, it reminds me of when you're little and you're roller skating and one person gets flung forward and then the next person gets flung forward. I feel like we do that on the trip with each other.
Yeah.
And it's about letting the person stand up that needs to stand up at that moment. And so that's one of the gifts of stepping into sacred sites, because it almost happens just via magic, it feels like, right?
Yeah.
It's so organic, right?
Yeah. And gosh, everybody's having their own experiences. I was talking a little bit to Ehab about how the temples are communicating and speaking. I mean, how alive they are. I mean, I've had my own experiences, but many people just feeling or hearing or just experiencing this vibrancy in every sacred place that we go. And even like right now, we're not even on a boat anymore.
But we're in it.
A lot of times I'm just talking to somebody, but like the whole land is just swaying.
Yeah. It's definitely different in this land than others, because you've done a lot of sacred travel too. There's a different alignment here. It feels, the sacred geometry just feels different.
Yeah, it does.
I would say it's an amazing experience walking into any one of these temples. Each, as you know, has their own energy and frequency and vibration and history. But you're stepping into the body of God or the body of the divine. And so literally it's the experience of being inside your God and your God inside of you. And that does something.
It really does.
Right? I laugh, we talk about every place we go being activating. And it feels like we're being activated and yet we are activating.
Yeah.
There is that reciprocal play. And I feel like that's what you're saying as far as the energy here.
Yeah.
It's so obvious when we're here.
It is.
Whether that is just this place or we've each stepped out of the busyness of our own lives, and I think that helps, right? Yeah.
One of the properties of the fifth chakra, since that's what this is all about, is the element that is equated to this is ether. So some people say sound, but I drop into ether here, and it feels very much when I think of ether and that ethereal element that just kind of wafts through everything. It's just kind of like a temple incense, you know, it's just kind of everywhere. And the divinity, it's just kind of weaving like that, and just always present in some way.
It's interesting because a lot of people will have past life rememberings, and it's as though they're stepping into this etheric double or
Yeah.
etheric blueprint that you know, bump up against, you know,
Right.
rub shoulders with. And it's like timelines merging. And that's part of the ethers. That's the etheric double, the
Yeah.
many lives, you know, we've lived.
I think I heard you say yesterday something about, I don't remember what temple, you said there was a different timeline and you saw somebody from the other timeline and they saw
Yes.
you. There was a
Yes.
recognition.
It was in Abydos, and yeah, every temple has such a different feel. But in that temple, it was literally like I was seeing people of a different time walking through, and I was watching a mother and the young boy, and then the young boy turned and could see me. And I about slid down the wall. You know, it was kind of like you felt like all of a sudden it's almost like the opening of a great play, and the curtain opens and all of a sudden you see all the characters walking through. And that is an interesting one because it has separate chapels, and so each one of the chapels coming to life in a different way.
Yeah.
And somehow that lives in you. It's not really outside of you, but kind of as the spirit or the ethers moves in and through, it reawakens. There's a remembering in so many of these places.
There is. And also Abydos, and the flower of life being there. And I'm not even sure. I still think he said 50,000 years at some point when we were there, or more. When you think about that, when you think about what really, when we're talking about timelines anyway, what is that?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, how amazing. There are different structures on the planet that have that flower of life. And it's interesting to go back to the initial, like the 7 circles in the middle, that seed of life. And what are the seeds within each of us? And I feel like standing there and even looking at the flower of life or being at that place, you have access to what are the seeds that are to be awakened in each of us. Like, what are the seeds, Tracey, that you're bringing here for the planet, right?
Yeah.
What are the seeds? And so this group is here for love initiation. So we're really bringing those energies, those seeds of love in all its various forms, whether that's compassion, kindness, etc. And being at the throat chakra, it's interesting. We're talking about communication. It's not just our ability to speak and communicate well. The throat chakra is also for listening, right?
Absolutely.
And people tend to forget that, right? And we do see a lot of people step into their power, use their voice. I'll say sometimes it's a little messy when that first starts.
That's such a nice way to say
Right?
that.
It's a little messy, but that's kind of part of the process, right? Like kids growing up, you see it. So when it's awakened and there's a maturity with it, right? What wants to be shared from that place? And it's taking time, stopping, being still, hearing your own spirit, hearing truth, and then sharing from that place.
Yeah.
So Abydos is one of those places. The Osirian complex is related to knowledge, wisdom. So that's an amazing place that contains so many seeds for all of us.
Yeah. My gosh, you said so many beautiful things there. One of them I'm trying to lock back into. What was it?
We're a little blurry.
We were talking about speech and hearing, because that was one of the things that I always talked a lot about in the trainings, because I think people do, and for some people, awakening their voice and speaking their truth is a very important thing. But for a lot of people, it's also the listening, the being quiet, this being silent. And that really came up for me in a lot of places. Even with some of the powerful activations, I felt not the need to speak or sing or wail or any of the other things. I felt the need to just be quiet. And that's when some of the light language came through my hands, because it was a different channel, you know.
It's just being open to that presence and simply being, really.
Right.
And in truth, we are each holding those seeds and then opening up to their substance and just sharing it in our beingness when we're fully present.
Yeah. And we're all writing a book called Love Initiation. What's the subtitle?
Learning. Yeah, so we're learning the language of soul. And, you know, soul speaks to us in the ethers, in the stillness, you know, in all different ways, from people touching the hieroglyphs on the walls and receiving impressions or dream time. You know, everybody's had such amazing experiences here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's filling us with, I think, some energy that we wouldn't have had if we just were home writing this book, which, by the way, nothing against writing a book at home, that's fine. But for our group to be traveling through these sacred sites and places and having these experiences, everybody's kind of, it's creating a different energy. And even the people that don't know what they're writing about yet, like, something's stirring.
Right. It's interesting elevation. I mean, we're walking the initiate's path. We're basically like walking up the chakras, you know, up the spine, or Osiris's spine. And each one of those seeds of light is being activated and then finally illuminated, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting writing the book as a collective. Like, that's a new piece.
Yeah.
And we're here at the time of Aquarius, which is about the collective and all of us working together as one. And knowing that each one of us is like a different note, you know, in the symphony together. And each one of us is maybe speaking to a different group. It's just really interesting to see the way all of those pieces, those moving pieces, are coming together.
So beautifully. I think it was Patricia maybe at lunch today. She said, we're just moving as one being, this group. It feels, just always feels like if somebody's got a moment and they need something, someone's there. And always, where's so-and-so? Oh, you know, just really caring for each other.
And it's interesting starting out on two boats. So we've been doing this in tandem. But in a sense, we were moving through that sense of duality with each other, and even judgment, you know, where the horoscope lines up for our group right now, and that place of third chakra, personal power. And is it for myself, or are we here supporting all life as a group? Then activation in the heart chakra, right? And it's like, our group's so hungry just to be together as one. And then and finally we popped out, and we're now traveling together as one group. So interesting. Even all of that part of the journey, I feel like, was set up for us.
So deep. I'm sure you and John could write a whole book just on
the behind the scenes.
Just on the witnessing
of
the energy of the group moving through this. Really. I would read that.
Yes. You know, we love energetic creation. We love, before we create anything, to do the backdrop of the energy, right? And, you know, I learned that very early on, that the ancients would really call in the energy of what they're manifesting. So it is there in the ethers. You have the etheric double of it. And then we're bringing it manifest into physical form, which is why we've done so much work initially to call it in. To call in those pieces, even if we go, I don't know what the actual words are in my chapter. But it's okay. We all feel pregnant. I think we're all completely saturated with energy, slightly slurring. So if we're not making too much sense, it's just because we're really pregnant with this energy.
I certainly felt that way, especially around Philae. There was that one night I was looking down and like, I know I put on weight, but my stomach is past my boobs. And I'm like, what is happening? And then, I don't know if it was you, somebody said the next day, no, I think it was you. No, a lot of people are feeling that way. And then we did that really sweet Sekhmet meditation that night to kind of help a lot of people release and process, because I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand what was happening. And then I started to write, as you know, I had to get my chapter done. So I couldn't really wait. So Atlantis is reading it maybe as we speak. I don't know. We'll see.
So excited. She's written a wonderful chapter. I've had a preview, so.
You had a real rough copy.
It's great, though. Even that one I would take.
But we are... just so thankful that you gave me a couple of minutes of your time, because I really wanted to talk to you about some of the energy here. And I don't even know how I'm going to concisely put this together. There's just so much to talk about. It could go in, it's like the chapter.
She has a series on Egypt, I think.
How do I just do a very concise little earth chakra here?
There's so much here. There's the full blueprint, of the human body here, the energetic body, and traveling down the Nile. They consider the Nile to represent not only working up the spine, but represent the entire world. So literally everything is here. It's the microcosm of the macrocosm. So you and I are laughing. We're just talking. It's not just the throat chakra. And I have chills as we say that, it's full body, definitely all the way up to that open lotus at the top, right?
I think, the pockets of energy centers on the planet are absolutely these power places. The concept of, if it equates to a particular chakra, I think it's like you can't just squish it all into those one little boxes. But I think about just one little piece of it being ancient Egypt. And I think about the hieroglyphs and just that little writing piece even. You know what I mean? And there's nowhere else like that. You see some petroglyphs here and there, but nothing to the extent of here.
It's amazing to see the wall. To walk into any one of these temples, you see pictures, online. You just can't describe the feeling of walking into these places adequately enough.
You just can't.
It's so grand.
And I can't get over that you are allowed to touch the walls and the
some places not, but
but
really
most of the places they're okay with you. It's just kind of surreal.
And we've had the experience of I'm thinking of Hathor's temple. There's a sanitarium there, or a healing spa. So some people that have worked as healers go back there. And literally, you can see them walk in and they know their niche. It's like they know the room that they worked in. And it's such an amazing remembering for them. I think healers in particular, if you've gone many lifetimes as that, there's been a shutting down of the throat chakra, right? Or having to hide, like the esoteric is hidden, that hidden wealth of knowledge. And so now to be standing in it and go, now is the time where we're here to be sharing, and there can be the opening of that throat chakra. It's so beautiful to see so many of these healing practitioners really step into that in a bigger way for themselves.
Yeah, it's been really fun to witness that for many people on the trip. I know I could talk to you all day.
I know. She's easy to talk to. We can travel anywhere together, really.
But thank you for making some time. I really appreciate.
My pleasure.
I appreciate everything that you've done. Thank you. Hello from Sacred Valley, Peru. I've been to Peru now 6 times. And each time I come here, my love for the land and the area deepens. My love for the people. To be with the mountains, the Apus, is a very special and sacred thing, and the natural elements in Peru seem to be really heightened. It's the feeling of connection with the water, the mountains, the land, the sun, even the moon. These elements, they're very much such a part of your day. And that's not something that a lot of places give you, I think. But I love being in Peru. And I'm about to lead another group through some of the sacred spaces here and the Incan temples, and just really feel grateful to be able to help people see and experience and feel into locations that they maybe wouldn't normally go to. I remember the first time I came here, Peru wasn't on my radar. I hadn't thought about traveling here. And a lot of people that I talk to don't quite understand, what the value is in coming here, or what they can learn or understand. And I feel like when you travel to these power places, first of all, you just have to be open, because almost anything can happen. So you go in completely open, but then you also go in with reverence for the land itself, for Pachamama, for the earth. And you give yourself time and space to just kind of sink in and feel. And then I think what happens is some sort of film or layer that maybe you've collected in your life, whether it's for protection or something else. I think that these power places allow those layers to get peeled off or peeled back. So who you truly are starts to really reveal itself, because say something happened to you and you build a wall in front of your heart, or a protection around you so that, people or energy can't get that close to you. You come here and you open yourself up, and the layer just kind of peels off. And so, it's like when there's a film in front of a camera and it's not as crisp, and that film just kind of keeps peeling away, or those layers. And then your picture, your trueness reveals itself on such a deeper level. So traveling is a love and a passion of mine, but particularly going to powerful places in the planet. And for many places, that's, ancient civilizations. Thunder. Ancient civilizations built their temples, their cities along these power places in the planet. They felt. Is it the electromagnetic energy? Is it the water underneath the land that's circulating, that's creating some kind of palpable energy? I think it's a lot of different things, but there are these pockets, these places, or these lines where people have been gathering for eons to connect with the sacredness of the land itself, and build their cities, their temples. And I'm particularly drawn to those areas. There's something about entering a sacred temple that I feel very deeply. I feel connection to the people, and
to the energy, the love that maybe that they place there, in in trusting that temple or that land where the temple is, in holding maybe their biggest fears or their greatest loves, or what is it when you go to a church? What do you share? You share the deepest part of you. And I feel that. I feel eons of people who have gone to these places and bared their souls. And in some cases, I feel when I've been there. I feel when I've been there in a past life, and I remember. Peru is said to be the Earth's second chakra, sacral chakra. It's said to be the anchor point of the divine feminine in the planet. Pachamama is the word or term used. It's an Incan word for the earth, the land, as a living, breathing entity, and mama, it's a feminine aspect, like Mother Earth. So I feel like you can come here and you can connect to this energy in whatever way you're open to it. Can it heal your second chakra? That's a good question. I have had many healings here. I have many, many deep activations and connections here. I have certainly been put through emotional roller coasters here. And each time I feel like there's a healing that occurs. Each time I feel like there's some deep something. Yeah, so I would say that the healing can occur. And I love bringing people here to experience the valley, the Apus, the people. It's a special place. I feel like I found many homes all over the world. Thailand is another second home that runs along a dragon line, an energy line in the planet. And there's something about the people there. I mean, in Chiang Mai alone, I can't remember, there's over 500 temples in Chiang Mai alone. That's my favorite part of Thailand to visit. It doesn't matter where you go, you're going to connect. You can go anywhere on the planet and you can connect to these sacred spaces. The invitation is there. The invitation is there for you to connect. So much love. Feeling very grateful today.